I do think that Pete Alonso is more likely, again, not 100%, but more likely to be back with the Mets than Luis Severino is. Again, pitching, especially in this market, is a dime a dozen. I mean, it's your top guys, and then you have a couple of B tier guys, and one of those B tier guys is Luis Severino. So there's going to be some team that's out there that's desperate enough to go ahead and give him that 4 years. And with the way that the Mets, and I understand you can't prioritize the farm system in these kind of conversations, but you almost have to with the guys that are coming up in terms of how you're going to build out your rotation. I just don't see David Stearns, even given the bounce back season that Sevy had. I was a fan of Luis Severino in the Mets uniform. I was a big fan before he even took the field for the Mets in terms of the overall signing. I knew he had this type of season in him. But regardless, I take a look at the options at first base that the Mets have. If Pete Alonso walks, you've got Christian Walker. You've got a guy like Carlos Santana out there that you can sign maybe for a 1-year deal or trade. I forgot if he's under contract or not. But, other than that, I don't see a world where Mark Vientos is going to first base. I do not see a world where David Stearns transitions Mark Vientos to first base. Now, if he does, am I going to complain about it? No, I'm not. Because I don't think that first base is a position that's going to be hard to pick up. And Pete Alonso is an okay defender when it comes to picking baseballs and all of that. But you look at the actual metrics of Pete Alonso as a first baseman, his defense sucks. The actual advanced metrics of it. And then you take a look at how he throws the baseball from first base, whether it's a flip or to second base for a double play. It's atrocious. So, I don't know exactly how this situation is going to play out. And these two guys are, if Sevy is willing to take a 3-year deal, maybe perhaps an opt-out after the second year for him to prioritize a player option. If he does well the next 2 seasons, he can go ahead and get maybe another bigger contract for another 2 years. I don't see it happening because there's going to be some team that looks at the season that Severino had and it's like, that's my starting pitcher number 3. And we're going to give him 4 years to be that. And I just don't think it's going to be the Mets, man. I don't. So if the question solely is between these two guys, Alonso versus Sevy, I'm going to give the edge to Alonso. If the question is, are both of these guys going to be back or not? That's a larger question. To what I will tell you is that both of these guys could be gone. And that's just the fact of the matter.
If I had to choose one, I think it's Severino over Alonso. And I've said that I've said this from the middle of the season. Pete Alonso is going to get a $200 million deal from somebody. He's going to get that 7-year that he's been looking for $200 million. I don't know if it's the Cubs, if it's the Mariners, somebody else. The crosstown guys in the Yankees. The fact of the matter is, and I think this relies on Juan Soto situation. I think if the Mets get Juan Soto and the Yankees lose out on Juan Soto, they're going to pivot their way to Pete Alonso to try to get some type of more offense into that lineup around Aaron Judge. And they need a first baseman. I truly believe Pete Alonso is going to get $200 million from somebody. The Mets aren't going that far. I do think that Stearns is willing to give Severino 3 years with a 4th-year option. Depending if it's a mutual option, vesting option, I feel like they would do that. And the only reason why is because I'm picking between Severino and Alonso. I'm not picking between Severino or Burns or Severino, Snell, Fried, or anything like that. If it comes down to these two players, I think Alonso's going to get that $200 million because people value the position player more when it comes to overall money. They don't mind giving years to position players. I know there's no way the Mets are going to give $200 million to Pete Alonso. That's why I think it's more likely Sevy comes back over Alonso. Because
I'm just going to say it. If the Mets get Soto, I think they're re-signing Alonso. 100%. I think if the Mets get Soto, they are going to go for it and sign both of these guys to be in the middle of the order, to go alongside Brandon Nimmo at the top of the order, Mark Vientos, and Francisco Lindor. I think that if you get Juan Soto, the play is to bring Pete Alonso back. I think that's what their play is at the very minimum. I'm just, again, speculation, nothing concrete behind that. that's my personal opinion. If Juan Soto indicates to the Mets that he is planning to sign with the Mets are going to go full bore and go get Pete Alonso, regardless of what it takes. $28 million was always my sweet spot for Pete Alonso. I always said that Boris is going to do just enough to make him the highest paid first baseman, whether he's performed like it or not, and people are just going to have to live with that. And again, as soon as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is up for his contract, guess what's going to happen? With Pete, if Pete Alonso's making $28 million, Vlad's going to make 29. And the next first base is going to make 30. And this is how it's going to keep going on and on and on. That this is how it works. So again, the home run numbers are there with Pete Alonso. You're going to get that. The runners in scoring position numbers suck. We know that over the past 2 seasons, and that's been the biggest knock on Pete Alonso. But again, do you let that kind of guy walk if Juan Soto now joins your team in terms of that power that you now have with 2 guys that can hit 40-plus home runs for you in the middle of your order?
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel. Thank you.